Good morning and welcome. It's 9 a.m. and time to call to order the December 21st, 2023 meeting of the Oklahoma City Airport Trust. Our first item is to approve the minutes of the November 16th, 2023 Oklahoma City Airport Trust meeting. Is there a motion and a second? And the item passes. Thank you. All right, next up we have the director's report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. We've got several reports this morning. I'm going to start. First one up is a couple slides about, there we go, a 23 review and 24 preview. So the intention was to go over this in November, and I wasn't able to make the meeting, so I think we already we touched on it back at that meeting. And I'm not going to go in detail on it today, but I wanted to just highlight a couple things here. Lana, if you could go to the next slide and keep going. So last year we met and had a working session last December and started with kind of these strategic priorities, and those remain: our customers, our infrastructure, the finance, and then the people. Next slide. Keep going. And so over the last year, these are some of the things that we've been working on when it comes to the customers. We started a customer survey program. We're working on a number of different things, including a website update, parking reservation system, adding signage. You can see the list of things there that we have started, and kind of gives you an update on where all of those things stand. Restaurants and shop upgrades. We're working on a logo brand update. Boarding bridge replacement. We should have some of our new boarding bridges, our next phase, in the middle of 24. Next slide, Lana. Parking on the agenda today. We have a award of a contract to build another surface parking lot with covered parking, and then we're in the process of selecting an architect to begin design for a new garage. On the airline service side, we have added some frequency, as you can see there, to a couple of existing markets that we have. And then our federal inspection station, so that we can ultimately provide international service. We're in the design for that, and we'll be under construction in 24. Next. So under infrastructure assets, a number of these things involve improving or automating some of our workflow, and that involves adding some software programs to help with property management and asset management. We're doing a landside master plan in our terminal area for long-term space planning. And we've had some development at both at Wiley Post Airport as far as some hangar development, and then we're putting a self-fuel facility in at Clarence Page to help the tenants there. Next slide. Under finance, we have started, and we have in front of us a new airline lease that we need to negotiate. The existing lease expires in 2024, so that'll be a big effort for us. We are doing some study on some of the funding for parking. We're doing a forecast update on that. That'll help us with the design for our new garage. Over the past year, our purchasing levels were were raised along with the rest of the city, and that's helped us keep up with some of the cost inflation for services and products. And also wanted to acknowledge the city HR and Craig's support here over the last year. The hiring process, we've had some changes that have helped us to fill positions quicker, and that's gone very well. So then under employees, the city's Gauge survey program, we're part of that, and so we've had our second year of those Gauge results, and for an airport, our score went up from 3.7 to 3.81, and we went up in a couple different areas also. There's 12 areas in total that are surveyed, and so we've had some nice increases there. The other areas we focus on are resources and training for our staff. Unfortunately, with this, as part of the city, we've had cost of living increases, which has helped with our workforce retention and attraction. Some of the other things that we continue with training and others, we began an internal recognition program called the High Five Recognition Program. And internships, so we started internships this year, and we've hosted 8 interns so far. Ian Fontenoy is here this morning. He's one of our interns here, and this is probably his last day as an intern, but we've had a great time with them this year. And then we did an internal mission statement and values that we developed with our employees, and with the intention of aligning with what we're doing every day, the statement being connecting Oklahoma City to people, places, and possibilities. Values being safe, open, agile, and reliable. So, next, this is many of the things on this 24 list are things we're currently working on, and so it's just kind of gives you a preview of what the things that we would hope to accomplish in 2024. Website, restroom upgrade, restaurants, the FIS, some parking expansion, Putnam City Schools aviation classroom, and likewise, the maintain, develop assets. Some of the automation that we're trying to implement with property and assets are on our list to complete. Next slide. And then I've mentioned already the airline lease, which would be important for us to accomplish, doing some rate studies, and then continue really in the people area, the things that we've been working on. So continue to try to improve our workplace environment. So that was just a quick review and preview for 23 and 24. Okay. And so next, I want to invite our nominee, our consultant, who's been working on a branding and effort for us. So can you guys come on up? And they've got a couple slides they want to go over. And I know they've all talked to you at some point, and we wanted to just have them come in front of you and kind of give you a status of where things are. So take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, trust members, for your time this morning. My name is Scott Hill. I'm the creative director of Nominee, and it has been an honor to be chosen to help usher the airport brand into the future. We just finished the first phase of that process and want to give you an update. That was really our research and discovery phase, with that culminating in a 160-page, 2.5-hour presentation of strategy. For your sake, it's the 10-minute version, so that's the good news. But we really just kind of wanted to talk about what has transpired so far and where we're going. This first stage is really about setting kind of the trajectory of the project and understanding what pain points we want to solve. So starting with, I just want to do a high-level look at what brand discovery means to us. Brand can mean logo to a lot of people. It can just mean name to a lot of people. And I want to quickly show an overview from a visual standpoint what this looks like. We get to eat our dessert first. This is all pictures, because then it's all words from here on out. So what we're looking at, yes, obviously the logo itself, but across that top line you can see the entire airport system and its branding. We're highlighting consistencies and inconsistencies in proper use of logo, the ability for the logo to be used at scale and across all of these entities. Same thing we're looking at with color and typography. Is this being used to serve the airport? Is this being used to serve the passengers? How does this apply to advertising, to signage and wayfinding? And then ultimately, does this marry up well with the interiors? Is this a harmonious experience across the table for passengers and for employees? So all of this is kind of what we're looking at from a visual standpoint. And then I want to talk a little bit about kind of how we are approaching this. So a few pages about what we have been doing for the last 3.5 months. As I mentioned, three plus months of historical and landscape research, relevant literature review, review of those ASQ departure passenger satisfaction reports, discovery workshop with leadership and department management at the airport, and then 24 stakeholder interviews, one-on-one interviews. Many of you were involved in that, as well as city, state, community, and industry leaders. We also went into the airport with our team, set up, and conducted 40 in-airport interviews with travelers on the fly, pun intended. And then I'm sure you saw our survey go out. We were just shy of 6,000 responses to the online public survey from Oklahoma City citizens. And then lastly, our team basically looked at the 95 North American airports, the name conventions and the visual identity systems being used at each. We had site visits to the airport, of course, Will Rogers Memorial Museum in Claremore, Will Rogers Birthplace Ranch, and then shout out to the library. They put together a great collection of us with context around Will Rogers and the airport itself to come in and research and dig through. And then lastly, airport research in person. And so these first three, Indianapolis, Louisville, and San Jose, were agreed upon with the airport team and ourselves to focus on because they had specific connotation to what the airport is doing and where the airport is going. Additionally, our team on our time found San Francisco, Santa Barbara, Denver, Mexico City, Houston, Phoenix, Savannah, Seattle, Salt Lake City, Atlanta, and Charlotte. We also did the same research trips there via our time and our team to get a look at what's going on out there and what we can glean and bring back. So as I mentioned, there's a very exhaustive report. All of this led to challenges and opportunities that we highlighted. So based on what we heard, based on what we found, these are things that we think are challenges that we can tackle via this branding process. Challenge one, so the current brand doesn't functionally serve the airport or its passengers. There's a disconnect between the brand and airport experience when these two things should be working in tandem. I want to very quickly say the airport experience across our research, good. Everyone talked about the efficiency and how easy it was. So when we talk about something not marrying up, this is really through the lens of branding, not necessarily the airport experience. That was actually very positive as far as the technical ability to be a traveler in that airport. So from a branding lens, the opportunity here is to develop a visual and verbal system that can be consistently applied to brand materials, focus on elements that serve passengers as well as internal airport teams. Brass tacks, what this means for our team, we want to create an airport name and logo system, a sub-logo system, that line you saw on that first page of logos, and then establish color and typography systems, pattern and photography direction, tagline and messaging conventions, design templates for continued and consistent use of the airport brand. Much of this, just FYI, are things that don't exist right now as far as brand guidelines, best practices and templates. A lot of these things are being made from scratch currently. We want to create a better system to make that more efficient, to be more consistent, and to have longevity as well. Challenge two, in its current state, the airport is not a complete representation of OKC. Core brand assets, name, logo, visuals, et cetera, feel outdated and aren't aligned with OKC's trajectory as a city. Again, this is based on our findings of the survey and our interviews. So the opportunity there is to build a brand that speaks to the vibrancy of the modern frontier. Consider how arts, culture, and color can be more intentionally infused into the brand and the airport as a whole. Develop a strategic plan for curated advertising throughout the airport. Challenge three, the traveler journey throughout the airport is not particularly remarkable or engaging, and it does not create a lasting positive impression of OKC. The opportunity there is we have a lot of space. We can utilize that space to offer and create a traveler journey that yields the desired impression of Oklahoma City. Challenge four, so in our research trips, in comparison to this airport, we found that there was a far less focus on strategic partnerships. What this meant to us is we saw a lot of advertising where clearly the airport and the things in that city that you would want to direct people to were working together in tandem via advertising. It felt very curated. It felt like a very consorted team effort to get people focused on the things that they wanted people focused on in that city. So for us, that means further leverage resources and relationships with those driving local culture and championing the success of the airport to create the most appealing and exciting traveler experience. Specifically, this means strategic partnerships, further engagement with Visit OKC, as well as cultural institutions like museums, our professional sports teams, universities, libraries, ODOT, and Lieutenant Governor, who specifically said, let the airport know I'm excited and want to help usher in this new era of the airport. Challenge number five, since this is an OND, an origin and destination airport, people don't spend much time here. This was really important to us in our research because there could be a lot of efforts made in the wrong mission trying to emulate other airports that do have a lot of layover time. We are 98% OND, means 2% are experiencing layovers. So everything we want to do from here moving forward very strategically applies to that. In other airports, it would make less sense, but we want to make sure we're serving the right population that is coming through our airport in a strategic way. Challenge 6, the current use of Will Rogers' name in history perpetuate the stereotype of OKC as a cowboy town. The opportunity here is to explore ways to modernize use of Will Rogers' name within the airport, really focusing more about his contributions to aviation than kind of the more cowboy entertainment past. In Challenge 7, the current name is a stumbling block. This was a consistent theme across all research. So our opportunity here, explore a new naming convention that modernizes the airport, which conveniently takes us to the name discussion. Again, large report, but really we boiled this down to 3 big takeaways. The general public and stakeholders feel very strongly for keeping Will Rogers. Second, on the opposite of that, there was really no support whatsoever for keeping the word world in the name. Just an FYI that we are the only airport that does that. And that was something else we found during our research. And lastly, there's a strong desire to see the IATA code directly referenced. In our case, that is OKC. So based on those findings, we have 3 recommended approaches for moving forward from a naming standpoint. So from left to right, we have OKC Will Rogers International Airport. All 3 of these take the most important strategy to us, which is to elevate OKC to the main point. It is the most famous name that people colloquially refer to our city, and we see that as a real opportunity that most airports would clamor for. You have an airport like Portland, PDX, that is their nickname, that is their city nickname. It is also the airport code. It's a fantastic branding opportunity. You look at someone like Austin, ATX is their nickname, and yet their airport code is AUS. I guarantee you they would love to have those things aligned. So this is an opportunity that's right there for the taking for us. The second one, Will Rogers, oh, I'm sorry. No problem.
We're back here.
Yeah, you were there. There it is.
Thank you. The second one would be either a Will Rogers terminal or a Will Rogers airfield at OKC International Airport. What we like about this is a common convention. LAX is actually Tom Bradley terminal at LAX, which was, again, something we realized in our research is the way it's been, something that is a normal convention. And then also with airfield, this is a precedent. In 1941, it was named Will Rogers Airfield at that time, and so there is a historical reference there as well. And still, you get, in our opinion, the most important things happening here, OKC at the forefront, and then dropping world with that international moniker of where we are going with the airport. And then lastly, just full simplicity, OKC International Airport, keeping it very simple. Obviously, Will Rogers drops from the major name. Kind of what we have said with this option, if you want to go with this simplicity, Will Rogers is still going to be 40-foot big in the floor. His sculptures are there, his story and his sentiment will be in there. But if for the sake of simplicity, there's this third option that just focuses on OKC International Airport. With every project we work on, for the sake of our client and ourselves, we establish a North Star right out of the gate, and this is really a vetting ground for the decisions we make moving forward. And so really this is just something that we've agreed on with our clients at the airport as something that we're always looking to as we make decisions in this process. And so that North Star is a world-class airport that warmly welcomes travelers into the vibrant culture of Oklahoma City. And last, based on all of this research, we have 6 strategic recommendations that we want to move forward with into the next phases of this project. First, and most importantly, launch a new name with OKC as the focal point. Second, we would develop a new logo and/or word mark in service to that name. Then we will create a holistic brand system that serves all facets of the airport. We want to help organize and push further collaboration with Visit OKC and other cultural organizations. Evaluate the ability to decipher between airport touchpoints, airline touchpoints, and third-party touchpoints. This is a significant takeaway from our research as well. Going through those 14 airports, we realized at times there was great ability to know exactly where you were and what you were supposed to be looking at, and others, it was chaos. And so wanting to evaluate the ability to do that at our airport and really dial it in. And lastly, develop a strategic plan for placement and use of branding, art, and advertising, so all three of those things get the proper eyes on them that they should. Following this process, the next steps for us are going to be messaging and visual identity. We'll be tackling both of those at the same time. So how does the airport talk about itself? And then ultimately, built on this strategy and that messaging system, what does the airport look like moving forward? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Yes.
So what we will do, based on this first phase, internally looking at some of the recommendations, I'll just indicate it seems the first one kind of checked all the boxes for me as far as OKC, Will Rogers International Airport, but wanted to at least bring you guys up to speed on where things are at before we got too far down the road, and so that was the intent today. Okay?
Any questions?
It's okay.
I just wanted to say, and I'm sure I'm in the minority on this, I love the showcasing the OKC part. That first one I think is great, except that, and I've made the comment, I still love the Will Rogers World Airport just because it's so different. There's no other airport that I know of that uses that terminology. So to me, I love the rebranding with the OKC as the main piece of it, but I still love the World Airport.
Old school.
It is unique.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, there are a number of other items under the director's report. They're just status reports, and so I would suggest we move to the next item for the item section 4, and I can start there. Before I jump into that, I do want to highlight, we do have an item on the agenda. It is in regards to the offer from Oklahoma County to purchase property for the jail development, and we've gone through that and evaluated it, reached out to the FAA and raised some questions, and they came back with some concerns about us moving forward and the impact on our future grants. So just wanted to acknowledge that process and the item that we have on the agenda today to address that. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have
if I
any other
could too, I wanted to
comments?
mention,
Yes.
that I talked with Steve Mason, who's the chair of the Citizen Advisory Board for the jail. They're searching for sites still, and it's going to be challenging wherever they land, but he wanted to express his appreciation to Jeff especially, but also to the trust for really taking an objective look at this and trying to work through this with the FAA. So just wanted to make sure that we pass that along.
Thank you. Okay, as we move to our next item, which is Will Rogers World Airport.
Item A is accept project 2023 registry building slab repairs at Mike Maroney Aeronautical Center. Item B is professional service agreement for law enforcement and security services between Oklahoma City and Oklahoma City Airport Trust to provide law enforcement support. Item C is program management service agreement with Kirkpatrick Program Management for Hangar 4 program management services. Item D is ratification and approval for an award to Rudy Construction for the north covered parking lot for $5,563,110.15. Item E is Amendment 2 with Mead and Hunt for Terminal Area Master Plan. Item F is Amendment 4 with Kimley Horn for the West Terminal multi-use parking lots. Item G is change order number 1 with Downey Contracting for the AAR Hangar 3B roof. Item H is change order 1 with Globe Construction for the old ARF building roof replacement. Item I is change order 4 with Crossland Heavy Contractors for landside wayfinding. Item J is request for qualifications for solicitation of Hangar 4 construction manager at Risk Services. Item K is approval to apply for federal aviation grants for reconstruct terminal apron South Gates Phase 2, reconstruct runway 17 right, 35 left, north end, terminal building energy assessment, update PCI study, passenger boarding bridge replacement Phase 3, rehabilitate terminal access roadway Phase 3, terminal building floor replacement Phase 1, passenger boarding bridge replacement Phase 3. Item J is joint resolution to apply for a Federal Aviation Administration grant for walkway modernization. Item N is resolution authorizing settlement and release of claims against Ski Data for the parking access revenue control system. Item N is resolution rejecting the Oklahoma County Board of County Commissioners' offer of $2.5 million to purchase approximately 51 acres of airport property in parcel 53. Item O is request for proposals for advertisement professional services agreement for Conrack shuttle bus operations and maintenance.
Thank you. You've heard the request for approval. Is there any questions? Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. So next up, we have Clarence C. Page Airport.
We have Wiley Post.
Oh, Wiley Post, sorry, missed that one.
Section 5. Item A is Amendment 2 with Linda James for to exercise the second of 4 successive one-year option periods. Item B is Change Order 1 with Libra Electric. Item C is a joint resolution to apply for federal funds for to construct new air traffic control tower and terminal apron pavement rehabilitation. And item D is farmland lease with Roy A. and Janice M. Nuttall.
Heard the request for approval. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, well, now we have Clarence C. Page.
Item A is intergovernmental agreement with Oklahoma Department of Aerospace for commissioning flight inspection of PAPIs on runway 17 right. Item B is ratification and approval for the runway 17 right PAPI and wind cone rehabilitation. Item C is change order 1 with Globe Construction for install 12,000-gallon self-serve avgas.
Okay. Heard the request for approval. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, we have general.
Mr. Chairman, it's to receive the Oklahoma City Department of Airports Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for fiscal year ended June 2023. The report is here in front of you. We are planning to have go over this at our January trust meeting.
Okay. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, we have easements.
Item A is easement for 4201 Southwest 29th Street. Item B is an easement for Southwest 104th Street and South May Avenue. Item C is an easement for 3531 Southwest 42nd Street.
Okay, you heard the request for approval. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, we have requisitions. The resolution ratifying the actions of the Director of Airports and approving requisitions previously paid, and also a resolution approving requisitions dated December 21st, 2023. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Do we have any comments from trustees? Any staff wishing to be heard? Do we have any citizens?
I'm sorry,
Yes, sir.
real quickly, I just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you for all you do. I love love our airport. So thank you.
Very good. Yes, hope that you have good holidays, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year. With that, meeting is adjourned.